Hello and welcome to Synapse Nigeria, where we spotlight diverse voices and actively foster collaboration. I'm your host, Dr. Akimobola Otitoju, and on today's episode, we are exploring the world of genetically modified organisms through the eyes of a professional plant breeder and geneticist. Now, centuries ago, Shakespeare wrote, "There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." Nowhere is this wisdom more relevant than in today's heated debate over GMOs. Now, is genetic modification a dangerous tampering with nature, or is it a vital tool for food security? On Synapse NG today, we shall attempt to deconstruct the narratives, explore the psychology, separate risk from perception, and frame a new conversation. My brother and friend, Dr. Charles, is here today to untangle the thinking behind the debate and forge a more productive path forward. Dr. Oluwasijibomi Charles Ogunremi is an Assistant Director of Research at the Department of Agricultural Biotechnology, National Biotechnology Research and Development Agency, NABDA, Abuja, Nigeria. As a plant breeder and geneticist, Dr. Charles specializes in breeding and genomics aimed at enhancing pulses, including the development of pod borer-resistant cowpea and herbicides-tolerant soybean. He focuses on incorporating these transgenic traits into farmer-preferred varieties with a strong commitment to climate-smart agriculture and ensuring food security for Nigeria. Dr. Charles actively promotes the adoption of science-based regulatory frameworks and policies supportive of agricultural biotechnology, including genetic transformation and gene editing, through awareness campaigns, policy advocacy, and stakeholder dialogue. Dr. Charles holds a degree in plant science from the University of Ado-Ekiti, an MSc degree in plant genetics and molecular biology from the Premier University of Ibadan, and a PhD in plant breeding and genetics from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. He is a member of several professional bodies, including the Biotechnology Society of Nigeria, Nigerian Plant Breeders Association, and the Genetic Society of Nigeria. And beyond his professional pursuits, Dr. Charles enjoys gardening, botanical exploration, reading, and playing chess. His passion for crop improvement and food security drives his vision to ensure that no Nigerian or African ever goes to bed hungry. Welcome, Dr. Charles, to the Synapse NG.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
All right, so on a lighter note, are you a farmer?
Yes, I consider myself to be a farmer. Even before I became a researcher and a scientist, I consider myself to be a farmer. And even after all the researches and all the sciences, I will still remain a farmer. Yes.
Okay. That is heartwarming to know that I'm not just speaking to a researcher, but also I'm
Yeah.
speaking to a farmer. So now back to the sciences. Could you give us a working definition of GMO from a geneticist perspective? And how does this genetic engineering, like gene editing, how is it technically different, philosophically, also from conventional plant breeding methods that we have been used to since time immemorial?
Okay. GMO is an acronym, and the full meaning of GMO is genetically modified organisms. Um, in the layman language, I will say uh, that is used to describe foods. So when I say foods, I mean plants, animals, and genetic material engineering. At times we call it bioengineering too. So in the layman language, genetic modification, modified organism is again a common term that is used to describe plants, animals, or microorganisms that have had their genetic material changed using genetic engineering. So that is the simplest way I can describe GMO. However, some people will now ask, what is genetic engineering?
Mhm.
Now, genetic engineering is a breeding tool that generally involves the modification of DNA, and it includes the transfer of specific DNA sequences from one organism to another. This is genetic engineering. There is a selection period done by our forefathers. Keeping this engineering we are talking about is just a tool. It's just a tool which is being used presently to, enhance the breeding process of our crops, even animals, through microorganisms.
So I'll ask my next question. From
Network
the
is
vantage
glitch.
point of being a researcher, would you say there is a significant potential in this technology
Hmm.
that the public may not be able to see, which is often overlooked?
Hmm. In the olden days, our keep a certain part of their proceed of the harvest for the next planting season. In that way, we are all sure they will keep the best for that next planting season. That in its own is genetic modification because they've done a selection. They've done a kind of genetic selection, which is the best part of their proceed for the next planting season. So from time immemorial, genetic modification or genetic engineering has been in place.
Okay.
Yes. What we are doing presently is we are just trying to factor in a more scientific way of using this genetic engineering in order to have a faster way of breeding new varieties of crop. So a faster breeding process. That is what we are doing now. So from time immemorial, genetic engineering has been there. Yes.
Okay. Some would say that you are being biased since because you are a researcher.
Mm.
So is there a
Okay.
significant potential that you see in this technology that you feel the public debate often overlooks?
Yes. In conventional breeding, that is the classical breeding. Before you bring up or before you come up with new varieties with the traits genetic engineering does, is to give us a specific trait, is to specific traits, copy these traits, then we insert this trait into a desired organism, its growth and scientists to come up with improved varieties. This is just a tool, and it's a biological tool. And all biological tools are also there's this thing that we call Bacillus thuringiensis. That's the BT. Uh, Even right before now, Bacillus thuringiensis has been used generally by farmers across the globe. So it's a kind of friendly bacterium that organic farmers around the world spray on crops as a biocontrol agent to protect against certain pests and insects. It has been used even for several tens of years ago, even by organic farmers themselves. Hmm?
Okay. Okay. So now that takes me to my next question, which is, yes, the fracking food.
On their
Yeah, the narrative is incredibly powerful. However, why do you think this particular story resonates so deeply, even in the face of scientific evidence about safety? And so where does this
hmm,
visceral fear, where does it come from?
okay. In terms of the concerns of the public and safety issues, the baseline is this technology is highly beneficial, especially, let me give you an example. The BT technology, that's the Bacillus thuringiensis, against, let's say, cowpea, the BT cowpea that has been released in Nigeria. Now, this BT cowpea, that's the to reduce trade for those that are producing that insecticide. So it is just normal for those that are producing these insecticides, to come up with stories, that can instill fear into the populace, the public. So it is not a scientific um, war. It is not a scientific based issue. It is just mere trade issues. And aside that, majority of these people that are, churning out informations, putting out misinformations out there, check their background. Are they even professionals that uh, are qualified to talk about this technology? That is the first thing. So that's the first advice I give out to the parents, to just say anything out there in the social media space and misinform people. Whereabout the scientists that
Yes.
have worked on this, it has gone through lots of biosafety issues and it has been deemed safe by before any GM crop can be released into the environment. It would have gone through all forms of safety tests, even by our regulatory agencies. So all this misinformation is unfounded, and they have been even all this information is being done by people that are not even qualified, that don't know anything about this technology.
Okay, so
Yes.
if I may ask Dr. Charles, as a scientist, how do you reconcile this gap between the consensus in your field as a scientist and the skepticism
Mm.
in the public?
Okay. I think what we scientists need to do is we need to create more awareness. We have to spread our tentacles the more, and then we have to yes, reach out to the farmers, and one of these are newly released, we make them available to the farmers so that they can plant side by side, because there's a saying that goes, seeing is believing.
Mhm.
So we make these new varieties available to farmers for them to plant side by side with their local varieties.
Okay, okay. So if
So,
I may interject, the challenge seems to be with trust.
take it.
Trust in scientists,
Mm,
trust in the corporations that they believe
mm.
are funding these biotechnology projects, and even trust in the regulatory bodies such as the National Biosafety Management Agency. So, where has the scientific community succeeded, and where has it
Okay.
failed in building that public
Mm,
trust?
okay. The first thing is I want the general technology is being developed by Nigerian scientists. There is no Nigerian that will want to develop a technology that will be harmful to his fellow kinsmen. Because later in life, even that scientist's family members will still feed on this product. Our regulatories are up and doing. Our regulatory agencies, and they are well equipped with very intelligent and up-to-date scientists. And it should be noted too that each agency and data is being, made available for our at every developmental stage and being carried along. So our regulatory agencies are not compromised. They are doing what they are doing in the best interest, and it's even encouraging that this agency is established. We import lots of crops from now. This is our own. This is our own, developed by our own people, monitored by our own people. In this way, we know what we are feeding on. Populace should be rest assured that this is being well regulated, and we won't turn out any variety that will be.
Okay. 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 Outside safety, there is also the narrative of pro-GMO proponents, which is about feeding the world. Now, is this a fair promise or an oversimplification? So what are the real systemic challenges to food security that this challenge, this technology, however, can solve on its own?
Okay, and now we are faced with the
Safety.
issue of climate change.
Yes.
Yes, we are faced with the issue of climate change or climate variation, as the case might be. Just a few years ago, we experienced devastates maize crops. Sovereignty is well protected. This is what is being done in other countries. And it's from these countries that we import food. Why can't we do the same on? And I believe this technology can will go a long, it can go a long way to assist in breeding more resilient crops, especially drought tolerant crops, insect resistant crops, pest and herbicide tolerant crops. These are crops that has been way released for more than 30 years in the 90s in the US. And we are lagging behind, and we keep on importing from these countries. So it is the onus on us to develop our own variety. I say this technology will assist us in climate smart agriculture by breeding new varieties of crops that will be climate smart, that can withstand any form of climate variation or climate change that we have been faced with. It will
Okay,
go
so
a long way.
are you saying that this technology will put an end to all food challenges, food insecurity challenges?
Okay, so I would want to say the technology will put an absolute end, but
Okay.
the technology will enhance. There are other harms. There are other harms of agriculture.
Okay.
This technology is just a part. Yes, we have the mechanization. If we have the technology, the issue of food security won't be tackled. But I want people to see this technology as just a part of the, is to just see the technology as part of the effort being made by researchers.
Okay. Um, let
To
me
make food of our problem, but it will assist. Yes.
okay. Let me quickly ask her this question. Is there a valid criticism or concern from GMO skeptics that you believe the scientific and agricultural community should also take more seriously?
Lord, there has been no data, there has been no scientific, or there has been no link or that has put GM crop and cancer together. In fact, there was a study that was done in the US and the European countries. In the European countries, they have their um, they have their restrictions on GM crops, even though they feed, the rate of cancer and they saw that GM crop doesn't have a link to the rate of cancer in these two countries. So there is no scientific proof that has linked GM crop to cancer. And even the antis, the naysayers, they've not been able to give any proof that has linked GM crops to any form of diseases. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Charles. Viewers may have their contrary opinions. They will say, oh, he's talking because he's a researcher, he's involved in the lab. So what do you expect? However, what advice do you have for government? I think we need to shift to solutions. What is your primary
Mm.
advice for governments and the regulatory bodies like the National Biosafety Management Agency? Should the
Mm.
focus be on streamlining approvals for new technologies or on implementing more rigorous and transparent labeling to inform consumer choice?
Uh, while the regulatory agencies are doing their best, Nigeria has practices in Africa. Nigeria has the best. And I can say for a fact that the regulatory agencies they are not compromised in all they do to make sure of the safety of this technology. However, I still want to maintain that awareness creation, it is just normal. Any new technology that has been advented, any new advent or any new technology that has been introduced usually have criticisms. The first time a plane was introduced, there were critics. If they had made a plane today, the first plane, and they tell anybody, oh, the first plane wants to fly, we need people to enter the plane to test run the plane, people will always forget. It is normal. It is normal. The first time they want to introduce fertilizer, people criticized it. So it is a normal thing. It is well understood. But as time goes, people will understand, and the rigorous tests that this product goes through before it's been released, people will understand this. And everything is there online on the internet, even on the internet of the National Biosafety Management. Everything is there for anybody to see. So it's not that we are keeping anything. All information is there in the open space. So it is well
Wow.
understood. But as time
Thank
goes
you.
on, we'll create more awareness and people will understand the technology better.
Thank you, Dr. Charles. It's been a pleasure hearing your perspective on the GMOs debate. This is a true reflection of what Synapse NG stands for, where we spotlight diverse voices, connecting learning, innovation, and fostering collaboration. Now, on a final note, I know that you have been advising the populace throughout the program. But on a final note, and I'm sure the populace, the public will be happy to hear that the regulatory body is not compromised in any way. So what would your advice be to the general public?
We want to advise the general public. All this misinformation that is, being carried on the air and all around, take it upon yourself, pick the seed, try it yourself, try it on your own, and it's even a way to even do your own research. This is what has been said about it. That is what has been said about it. Sure, is it true? Some people will say anywhere they plant GM crops, no plant grows again there. No weed grows around the GM crop. Just take it upon yourself and try it in the confines of your homes or your farms. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Charles, for your time. Thank you for the sacrifices. Thank you for sharing your insights and inspiring other young scientists watching us today and the general public. We are grateful. I am
Thank
Dr.
you.
Hakim Obola, and this has been Synapse NG, connecting knowledge one story at a time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring conversations. Until we come your way again next time, stay curious. Bye for now.